What's up, world? It's your boy Tommy Mab, and I just figured I'd come in today. I haven't really had a long time where I've been able to discuss anything with you guys, so I decided today is a good day of any to come in and on this day that the Lakers are struggling to kind of say I told you so, and this is the problem I said they were going to have, and this is the problem they apparently do have. I've said this 10,000 times. As much as you might look at Luka Dončić, to me, I think his style of play, is extremely low IQ to me. Luka is, to me, is I've said this. He is more give than take, right? Meaning he'll give you what he gives you, which because he's a very skilled scorer, but outside of being a skilled scorer, Luka Dončić is a train wreck when it comes to getting his teammates involved, to learning to play off the ball, defensively. We don't even want to go there. I mean, the guy, to me, unless you build, to me, he's like Allen Iverson, right? You have to build an entire team around what he does. You cannot let him play and then just assume that he's going to somehow figure it out. All the things that I pointed out that he does, he's still doing. He has a tendency to argue every play, even though he gets more fouls than anybody on the team. Every time he doesn't get a foul, he's screaming, yelling at the ref, not getting back in transition, other teams scoring. And as I do with most of my videos, I try to find a central theme to my criticism and then try to build the entire discussion around it, right? And the discussion that I find myself trying to focus on now is the idea of competitiveness, selfishness. In America, I think American culture, we tend to mistake selfishness for competitiveness, and this is a common theme often inside our society, where we think a person who is unapologetically selfish, meaning they're competitive, but they're not competitive because they want the team to win. They're competitive because they always have to be the center of attention. They always have to be the person. Like, they don't want to win. They want to be the reason the team wins. And Luka is that type of person to me. He is not the type of person that will pass up he's not like the idea of comparing him to LeBron. I think is crazy. Luka will never pass a ball because it's the right play to make. He will always take the shot, whether it's a good shot, bad shot, indifferent. He's making the shot. And this goes back to the whole narrative I used to say about Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, those type of players that they call dogs or killers. They're just extremely selfish. And in their mind, if I want something done, I gotta do it myself. But that's not true. You don't give other people the opportunity to do it, and then you monopolize opportunities, And then when you finally give somebody an opportunity, they're so out of rhythm, they're so out of whack because the last 12 times you taken the shot, then the one time you pass on the ball, they don't make it. Of course, they're going to have way more pressure on them to make that ball because you haven't passed them the ball in forever. They haven't shot a shot since the first quarter, and now you're going to pass them the ball in a critical moment and you want them to make the shot. Or you want that it's getting tight and now your shot's not falling. Now you want to try to pass them the ball and they're way out of rhythm. Luka to me nobody. When Luka is on the court, the ball sticks. It does not switch. It does not change. He rarely plays pick and roll. He doesn't do it. He holds the ball, ISO ball, ISO ball, also ISO ball, also ISO ball. He either passes it to a streaking dunker or he shoots a contested shot. He doesn't get the best shot most of the time. And he has certain games where he is amazing offensively, just like James Harden was amazing offensively. But it's a line where James Harden has figured out there's a line between being competitive and being selfish. And there are these people in our society do not understand it. And you will see this a lot with little kids, right? When you go watch little kids play, there's that one kid who shoots every shot because he has the leeway to, and he has the confidence, and he has the innate selfish, whether his assurance is self-aggrandized or it's coming from outside forces, he believes that he is somehow better than everybody else. So he's going to take every shot. He's the one that's going to run the ball 1,000 times a game. Everybody, you know what I mean? He's the one that holds the ball forever. He's the one that's given all the privilege, all the opportunity to succeed. Right? And when he doesn't, he's just given more opportunity. Because he, sooner or later, will figure it out. And then your brain starts to say, well, if you do that with any player, give them the opportunity to be in a position of privilege. And you always have them in that position, and you don't ever put anybody else there. Of course, at some point, that person they're going to see fruit of that. But you have no idea if anybody else would have done better in that position because you never put anybody else in that position. So this is why it gets frustrating for parents, right? And this is why it gets frustrating when parents are putting their kids on these youth teams, on these AAU basketball teams, on these football teams, on these travel baseball teams, on these competitive soccer teams. You're putting these players on these teams with the idea that your kid is going to get an opportunity to showcase what they can do. But that is rarely the case. There's always some type of agenda, some type of politics that go into this stuff. And it's the same thing in the NBA. I love that a lot of these NBA podcasters are now getting their opportunity to speak, and you are really finding out about the politics of this game. I think Jeff Teague's podcast is very good at going in depth. I think Gil's Arena is very good at going into depth of how a lot of this stuff is based on politics. It's based on who the coach likes, who the coach doesn't like, and a lot of the opportunities are given out and parceled out based on how they see the person, not so much how good the player is. And I think when you're doing that, and then you're giving this person every opportunity to succeed. And then when he finally proves you right, you go stand up and put your chest up and say, see, ain't I a great coach? It's like, you gave that person 1,000 opportunities to prove you right. And when he finally does, we're supposed to act like you're some type of genius coach. When there's a guy who was doing what he was doing and you just don't like him and you're not playing him. And it's so obvious to me because politics are a part of everything we do. And when you see a guy like Luka Dončić, who to me has a lot of unearned arrogance, what has Luka Dončić won? He went to an NBA Finals with Kyrie But he went to a NBA Finals, and as soon as Kyrie got hurt, that went his NBA Finals. But to me, Luka Dončić is a great offensive basketball player. He's immature. He makes a lot of bad decisions. He is competitive to the point that he's selfish, and he causes problems. He is a fly in the ointment of the system. The system doesn't work when the ball sticks. When you have multiple good players, you cannot treat the good players as if they're role players. You can't treat Austin Reeves like he's a role player. He's not a role player. You can't treat LeBron like he's a role player. He's not a role player. You have to let these guys be able to do what they do. And you cannot do that when Luka is monopolizing the ball 90% of the time. And when he's doing it, I said this 10,000 times when I had that video about whether or not a bag is considered just being able to produce. And I found that out about most, I'll say it like I said, multiple sports. It is more important how you do something than how effective you are. Right? So I can go out and I can score 42. And I've seen this. Guy can score 40 points, but he does it in a very unimpressive way. Meaning he gets some putbacks, he makes a couple shots, not 3 shots, a couple shots, and he's scrappy, he's getting his points out the mud. Right? It's not pretty. It's not beautiful. It's just grinding, grind. That player's looked down on. But a player, and that player that's grinding, he's busting his ass on defense. He's busting his ass on the glass. He's busting his ass on moving off screens. He's putting up screens. He's doing everything in his arsenal to try to help the team win. That guy is ignored. The guy who dribbles down, ignores his teammates, dribbles down and just shoots shots constantly is the one that people look at and say, that guy, that kid's going places. Why? Because he refuses to pass? I don't understand why that's a plus. He's a dog. It's like, no. People have dog when I see them grit. Grind. That's what dog means. Dog does not mean selfishness, especially when you're in a position of privilege. Dog means you are a fighter, meaning you will fight and you will scrap and you will play with a chip on your shoulder to show that you are willing. Kobe was a great player, and Kobe had a mentality that at all costs. I just think Kobe had a real meld between being a hard worker and being being like a hard worker / perfectionist and being selfish, right? Michael Jordan to me was not a hard worker. I mean they're talking about this man used to stay out at casinos till 3 o'clock in the morning with a game the next day. You're not a hard worker. I'm sorry. I don't understand what his mentality that Michael Jordan was some type of hardworking. Everything about Michael Jordan stories, him going to casinos and playing rounds of golf when he has games that day. He is not a person who's taking that game serious. Now, he was great, even without all of this, but that doesn't change the fact that you can't compare him and Kobe. Kobe was maniacal about his. Kobe was crazy. LeBron is crazy. They're focused. They're laser focused. They get the most out of their game. So I don't like when people compare Jordan and Kobe's mentality, anyways, because I think the only real thing they had in common was the fact that they both were singularly focused and self-centered. They didn't care about other people. He took Michael Jordan's mentality and the fact that Michael Jordan was a cutthroat. And I think being cutthroat is not the same thing as being competitive. Cutthroat means you don't care about other people. Whereas competitive means you do whatever is best for the team. You do whatever it's about winning. Whatever I got to do to win, I'm going to do. And if you don't buy into it, that's a you problem. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to win this game, and I got to do whatever I think is best for us to win this game. And if at times it means sitting you on the bench, if at times it means not passing you the ball, if at times it means I got to step up and make sure that I take assignments that probably would have been given to you on other occasions, but today I want to win, so now I'm taking. Those are situations where I think competitiveness is prevalent. When you have guys that are going out there and showing up their teammates, shooting 40 times a game, 29 times to get 30 points, I'm sorry, I'm not impressed. Because you're going to get your flowers. If you score 30, they're going to give you your flowers. So there is no incentive in me believing, there is no point in me believing there's no motive to why you're doing what you're doing. Your motive is the points, because then if you get the points, they can't blame you. And I'm sorry, that's dumb. And right now, AR is being left out of the equation. He is not getting his touches, and whether that's and it's not a LeBron problem. LeBron is not the one taking a lion's share of these shots. He's not a person holding the ball. LeBron is not the problem. It's Luka. Luka don't want no challenger to his throne. And right now, Austin Reeves is a challenge. And he's not, in my opinion, he's not trying to make Austin Reeves look good. He's trying to make Austin Reeves look bad. And he's trying to show that him and Austin Reeves are not in the same league. And I think that's retarded, because it's not what's best for the team. What's best for the team is getting Austin Reeves his touches. And to me, Austin Reeves is not a role player. He's not a player that's a secondary player. He's a player that can stand toe-to-toe with you, and not to mention he can play both sides. He plays both sides of the court better than you do. I think he's a better play creator than you are. I think he has a higher basketball IQ than you do. I don't understand why we're treating AR. AR can get the same amount of points Luka get with half the shots. I don't know why we need to why they are so, again, it's privilege. For some reason, they are prioritize these European players over these American-born players, and I never understand it. I really don't. I don't understand why they prioritize a guy like Porzingis and ignore a guy like Chet Holmgren. I don't know why they prioritize a guy like Luka Dončić and ignore a guy like Austin Reeves. You know what I mean? They do this for some reason, and I never really understand it. When Luka doesn't play, they play better. They don't play worse. They play better. The team is better when Luka is not there. Why? Because Luka monopolizes the ball, and he doesn't play any defense. So he's a liability on defense, and he monopolizes the ball. So you get way more out of Austin B. Reeves and LeBron than you get out of LeBron and Luka. Than you get with Austin Reeves and Luka. Because they can contribute in other ways. Luka can only contribute scoring. And so you sitting there watching the game, and he's monopolizing the ball. He's holding the ball so long. So he can never be, you can use him as a decoy because he doesn't do anything. So if he doesn't have the ball, he's useless. He's just standing there. And if he's standing there on the side, nobody is going to play him because they know he is a rhythm shooter. He is not a person that catches and shoots. So a lot of times you can switch to him late because he's not just going to catch it and shoot it ever. He never does that because that's not his game. So he's always going to take a rhythm dribble, then he'll shoot. But that rhythm dribble allows you to switch to him faster. So he's not effective off the ball, And let's not even talk about defense. And most of his rebounds, he gets them from his own teammates. So his rebounds are not contested a lot of times. A lot of his rebounds are rebounds that would go to his teammates if he wasn't there. So his rebounds are, to me, empty. He's not snatching them off the thing. He's waiting until they drop and then he grabs them, which I don't think is the type of rebounds that are hard to get. So I think his rebounds are completely empty because he's not out jumping anybody to get them, and most of the time he's not even getting contested when he's doing it. It's his own teammates around when he gets his rebounds. So to me, I feel like that's my problem with Luka. I feel as if it's about privilege, and I think it's often seen as competitive when it's actually selfish. And when a person is selfish, I feel like a person should be categorized as selfish. But it seems to only be like James Harden and John Morant. Those guys get the selfish label because they're not the people that are supposed to be that arrogant. They're not the people who are supposed to be that have that type of mindset. They should be thankful. They should be humble. That's what the black athlete should be. The white athlete can be cocky. They can be abrasive. They can be bossy. They can be all these things. They can say they can be better, holier than thou. They can say, this is the way I do things, and if you're not gonna go along with it, then you can go find someone else to be. That's a leader. But the black guy doesn't. Who does this guy think he is? And that's my problem. It's a line, and it seems like you're competitive, you're selfish. You're competitive, you're selfish. But the line is there. Tom Brady is competitive, but he's also selfish. He wants to win, but he wants to be the reason you win. And I think that's the difference between a selfish player and a competitive player. Jerry Rice wants to win, and he'll do whatever he has to do to win. He will sacrifice his numbers if it helps the team win. A selfish player would never do that. He will never sacrifice his number. He wants to be the reason the team wins. He does not want to be a part of the team. That's the guy when the game is, you win by 30, he's mad that he's not leading the team in points. Because he wants the credit. He wants to be seen as top. And that, to me, is a toxic thing in American culture that is spilled over to children that I see all the time now. Where you have kids out there thinking, you're the best, so you should do the best. It's like, no, the best, the most valuable player is the player, the most effective player. The player that is important to winning. And sometimes that means doing the dirty work that you don't get credit for, but you still are a vital part of that team. But nobody applauds the dirty work anymore. Nobody applauds the stuff you can't put up on Instagram. Nobody applauds the stuff that makes people, that people should be clapping for. Because most of the people on the sideline are novices. They don't understand the game. So they're going to clap like circus seal the minute they do something. They see a point being scored, or they see a point almost being scored, because those are the two things fans understand. Scoring and almost scoring. They pay attention to assists because assists lead to scoring. But if it's not scoring or somehow attached to scoring, they have no use for it. They have no understanding of how it's important. They have no understanding of. That's why it's very dangerous when they start letting people who are fans, I'll say coaches, but are really fans. You know what I mean? I said this in another video. I said I have a real problem sometimes with parents being coaches, because parents are fans of their kid first, their coaches second. So when they're out there and they're trying to help their kid out, are you doing what's best for the team, or are you doing what's best for your child? And a kid, it's like making somebody on welfare the head of welfare. Well, welfare is there to make sure that everybody is getting a proper opportunity. But how do we know that you're parceling out this stuff to yourself because it's what you deserve, or because you're just taking advantage of your position? We don't know. But we have to assume that you're doing everything because it's the right thing for the team. And I think it's a conflict of interest, and I don't think you should ever deal with a coach that has to juggle whether or not to play their kid or play somebody who's better than their kid, because they're always going to choose to play their kid, because that's the whole purpose they're out there to begin with, is for their kid. They wouldn't be coaching if they didn't think it could help their kid. So when you're sitting out there and you're watching it, it's I would never put my kid on a team where the head coach is, the head coach is only there because their kid is there. Because now I question whether or not you will be there if the kid wasn't there. And if you wouldn't be there if the kid wasn't there, then how do I know you're doing what's best for the team? Exactly. There's no way. That's the problem you run into when you try to when these kids are there. And so now you have these kids who are given extra privilege. They never worry about being pulled. They never worry about their minutes going down. They never worry about any of the things the rest of the players on the team have to worry about. Why? Because they know I'm not coming out. It doesn't matter what I do. So then they start to play with a lot of confidence because they know it doesn't matter what they do, they're not coming out. And that's the thing with Luka right now. He knows it doesn't matter what he does, he's not coming out of the game. He's going to be able to play the way he plays, and they're going to stick with him, and they're going to stick with what he does, no matter what he does to the team. No matter if it's conducive to winning or non-effective, he does not matter. He does not care. All he cares about is his numbers. And when it's all said and done, they're not going to win anything because, he's not, to me, it's not a good situation. I think it's a reason Dallas traded him. And I think everybody looked at it. I think when they look back at the Dallas trade, they're gonna look back at it and they're gonna say, maybe one championship in his career, if that, and whether or not he will be the catalyst behind that championship, don't know. But I see a career that's closer to James Harden than I see closer to LeBron. I don't think anybody in Dallas is going to care in a couple years. Cooper Flagg, to me, is a player, to me, that has potential, and I think he'll make them forget about Luka Dončić in a year or two. He's homegrown. He's American, homegrown, great player. They're already arguing, why are you making him the point guard? Oh, but Luka. Oh, he's 6'8". Why are you making him point guard? Well, Luka was point guard. He's 6'8". Why can't this kid be a point guard? I just feel like it's a lot of biases when it comes to American-born players. Everybody got to be Larry Bird. No, you don't have to be Larry Bird to play. You know what I mean? You just have to be a good player. And a lot of these kids are good players, and you're not giving them the opportunity because they're not European. And I think that's a ridiculous trend I see in the NBA, where they treat American-born players as if they're lower. They're on a lower tier. And that, to me, is dumb. But regardless, if you watch it, you will see what I'm talking about. Privilege over production, and I think that's the equation that you're constantly, jostling with. Is this a product of his privilege or a product of how effective he is? And a lot of times that's the point. That is the burden of being an all-star or being a face of a team. When you're the face of a team, you're going to get the lion's share of the blame when you're losing, and you're going to get the lion's share of the credit when you're winning. But it's a hard take when you're making sure you get your points and then the team's losing. So now people are going to look at you and be like, well, you have the points, so it's team fault. So you don't get the credit when they win because you got the most points. And people are going to blame them when you lose because they're going to say, well, he did his job. He got this many points. But nobody's taking in account how hard it is for those players to get their points when he's the person in privilege. The ball has to go through him every time, and every time he gets the ball, he does what's best for him. It's only going to be a matter of time before it's like, okay, this is ridiculous. How do you expect me to produce? I'm not getting any opportunities. This guy is not creating any opportunities for me. He's all he's doing is isoing and taking bad shots, making bad decisions, and I'm supposed to look like I don't turn my head and act like I don't see that this is a train wreck right now. And again, I always do that. The bigger, broader discussion that I'm talking about is competitiveness in comparison to selfishness. There's a big difference, and I think people often will reward selfishness in sports because in their brain they think it's the same thing as being competitive. No. Make the right play. And if you consistently make the right play and then things are not working and then you say, okay, well, I got to go do it myself, then I can look at you and say that's a person that has some dog in them. That person is like, okay, I got you. You my teammate. Right now you're struggling. I'll take on that burden. I'll take on your burden until you find some rhythm. That to me is a dog. A dog to me, a person who does whatever it takes for his team to win. He doesn't care whether or not he's the person that scores a goal. He just wants the team to win. And those type of players always stick out to me. They are always the players that I look at and say, that's a glue player. That's a player you want on your team. That's the guy that when you look at it and you say, that's who I want in my foxhole. That's who I want playing next to me. Because I know that player is going to do what's best for the team. But it's far and few now in sports where you look at these guys now and you say, that's a good role model. That's a person that's willing to sacrifice for the good of the team. You don't have guys who are willing to play fullback. You don't have guys who are willing to play offensive line. You know what I mean? You don't have guys who are willing to do the dirt work, play tight end and put their hand in the dirt. If they're big and fast, they want to play wide receiver, right? And in the wide receiver, they're not trying to catch the ball and get their head knocked off for the good of the team. Okay, don't hit me. I'll catch and I'll fall. I'm not Jerry Rice. I'm not Michael Irvin. I'm not catching the ball and running for 80 yards. Just give me the ball, I'll drop and fall. The minute I think I'm about to take a hit. There's grit and there's beauty to every game. Nobody wants to be in the grit business. Everybody wants to be in the Instagram posting business, where they post their highlights without posting their lowlights. Nobody sees the lowlights. Everybody sees your 3-second put together highlight where you juke or do this, that, or the third, and nobody is caring. They weren't caring in the game because it didn't lead to anything, but you can still post it on Instagram and get some oohs and ahs and fire emojis. It does not change the fact that that's a terrible play, and then you didn't actually do anything during the play. You cut the play off because you knew where it was going to lead. It was going to lead to nothing. A brick. But you're not gonna show the brick. You're gonna show you juking and breaking the kid's ankle. You always know when they miss the shot afterwards because the shot is not in the picture, not in the highlight. It's always just the move, and then the highlight is gone. And they're getting all these fire emojis and all this, that, and the third for a move that led to nothing. It wasn't effective because you used the move as a necessity to get you in a position to score. And then you did the move. It was ineffective because you didn't score. So why in the world should you get kudos for it? But that's the Instagram culture we live in. I can still post up the juke. Yeah, but okay, do that. But I think you're losing the plot. The purpose is to win. Everything you're doing on the court, the purpose is to win. Now you can do it with style, you can do it with grit, but what you can't do is turn around and pat yourself on the back when y'all lose, and then say, look at my stat line. I had a good game. But you don't know if anybody else would have had a good game because you didn't give anybody else the chance to have a good game. You monopolized the ball. You continue to look for your shot. And so you basically abused the privilege that was given to you. They gave you privilege because they gave you the privilege of being a ball handler because they think you're going to make good decisions, but you're not. You're not making good decisions. You're making decisions that are best for you at the expense of other people. And then when the crap hits the fan, they're the ones getting the blowback. This one playing like trash. My gosh, man. Luka got to do everything. No, not that I've read anybody saying that. I'm just saying that's the type of stupid stuff you get from people who are rooting for you because you're in a position of privilege. The fans want you to do well. So when you're sitting there and they're like, oh, man, you're not helping Jordan. Jordan got to do everything. It's Kobe by himself. It's like, no, Kobe is the reason he's by himself. Kobe is the reason there's a reason why he never utilized any talent around him. Because in his mind, if you can do what he do, if you take away from his shots and you take away from his touches, he does not need you. In his mind, he can do that. All he needs you to do is get the ball off the glass and get him the ball. All he needs you to do is cover so he can rest on defense. That's it. Other than that, he does not need you. I can do everything myself. Okay? But when it hits the fan, they're going to get blowback. And sooner or later, people be like, okay, so if I play on your team, I'm going to get none of the credit if we win and all the credit if we lose. Why in the world would I want to play on your team? To me, that's not the case with LeBron. LeBron gets all the credit when they win and gets all the credit when they lose. LeBron gets blamed for everything. No, because LeBron grew up in the era of the Jordan psychopaths that cannot prove he has stalked Jordan in every possibility in every asterisk of a career that matters individually, and so they cannot prove that that Jordan's better than him with any type of logistics. Everything points to LeBron being better than Jordan in every way. But they can't prove that. They have to use aesthetic. They have to use subjective discussions where they're talking about what they think and how they think this is more important than this, when the actuality is, well, you can't even use that stat because there's another stat that proves he was better than him at that. In almost every metric you look at, LeBron's just better than Jordan. So they resort to stupid stuff, like talking about how many rings Jordan won and what his record was in the finals, as if that has anything to do with him as an individual player. It doesn't prove he's a great better individual player than LeBron. It just proves that his team was really good. And what part of it do you choose to give to him, and what part of it do you choose to give to his team? That's subjective. You choose to give no credit to his team. That doesn't make it true. So LeBron gets the lion's share of his credit because these guys are constantly analyzing and breaking down everything he does because they want to take away from everything he does. So they're never going to give him credit for what he does. And if he does something, they're going to give most of the credit to his teammates and try to find ways to alleviate that. And then the minute his fans say, "Well, wait, hold up now. I mean, you're kind of not giving LeBron credit for stuff," they'll say, "See, it's never LeBron's fault." It's like, no, the problem is that I have to defend him because in your mind, it's always LeBron's fault. So if it's always LeBron's fault, then I have every right to defend, no, it's not LeBron's fault. But when it comes to other people, you can find a silver lining when you blame somebody else, not him. Oh, he's doing the best he can, okay. When you like him, it's selfishness. It's competitiveness. When you don't like him, it's selfishness. We need to check the filter because it seems dirty. I can't trust what's coming out the other side of this filter. So I need to analyze. I need to open it up and analyze what's inside the filter. Because what's coming out on this side seems dirty and you're not seeing it. And I think that's the problem with youth sports in general. These parents, these kids, they're you can't put your kid in anything anymore. There's always that weirdo parent sitting on the sideline who will not just sit back and let his kid play and thinks that he's going to make his kid better by coaching. You're not going to make your kid better. All you're going to do is take opportunities away from another kid that may be more deserving of your kid because you're now trying to put yourself in the mix to take control of a situation that you cannot control. No matter how much politicking you do, no matter how much brown nosing and how much maneuvering you do, at some point you're going to have to trust your child to somebody else. And the minute you do, you're going to see all the things that everybody else's kid had to deal with, your kid's going to have to deal with. And once they have to deal with that, you're going to wish you wouldn't have spent your whole life coddling them and protecting them from having to be told where they are weak and where they need to get better by an unbiased source that will hurt them if they don't fix those things. Not a person who spoils them by continuing to let them play even though they're showcasing weaknesses. And I think that's the problem with sports in general. You have so many people who want to live vicariously through their children that they won't just move out of the way and let their kids get there. But anyways, please comment, like, subscribe. If you're not, what you're doing, subscribe. Comment. Let me know what y'all think about the situation. Those of you who are saying that Luka is not selfish, he's competitive, and those who are saying he is selfish, let me know in the comment section below. All right, y'all. Peace.